Hi. So I'm going to make you as host now. Hi, Chanel.
Hey, Chanel. No. Sorry, I didn't realize I was muted this whole time. Thank you.
Okay, my job is done here. Have a good night.
Thank you, Ava.
Bye.
Okay.
You're in order, Mustafa?
Am I in order?
Yeah.
I think
That's
so.
not known.
Let's see here. Well, so far it's just me and you.
Oh.
But we got
We're
people.
not quite a quorum, but we can.
We are. People are trickling in. So
It opened a minute or so early, so Ava must be somewhere. And you're the host, right?
correct.
Oh, good. Okay. You can make me an assistant host.
I think it's odd that. Okay, well, I guess we'll see in a second.
Hello.
Hello.
Brandon.
How are you?
Well, yourself?
Good. Thank you.
Oh, Andy's there. Andy, where are you? Looking a haze. One, two, three, four. How are we for the applicants?
Do you know who we're doing first?
Washington Street.
Okay, so James Price. Yeah, so it's just James Price who's presenting. So, and I just promoted him.
Okay, could you just check with him if there are any others that need? I'll have some things to say and so forth, but
Okay, well, he is one of us now. So, James, you there? You're muted.
Hey, good evening, guys.
Hey.
We actually, our attorney, Pat Kilduff, is actually in the waiting room as well.
Okay, I just promoted Pat to panelist. Anyone else?
That's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll have things to say first and come back to you, but now we're ready. Okay, we have plenty of people to begin.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Pat Kilduff.
Okay, we'll come back to you. This is Community Board 2, Manhattan. I'm not coming up somehow.
We can hear you loud and clear.
Can you see me?
Yeah, I mean, I can. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
we see you, Chanel. We see you.
Okay. Go away, Bo. I don't want to see you. Community Board 2 Manhattan Landmarks meeting. It's the only meeting this month, unusually. And we have 3 presentations. Briefly for the applicants, brevity of the presentation is always appreciated. We're concerned with the landmarks aspects of an application, and if there are parts of it that are approved by staff of Landmarks Commission, point those out and be very clear about what is before us and what they're approving. Anyone with the using of the chat for technical things like not being able to be recognized only, and not for chatter and comments. Be sure that what's being presented by the applicants is reasonably close to what will be presented to the board, to the commission, excuse me. We'll have in order questions from the committee, questions by board members, guests, and then the public. The public should be limited to 2 minutes. And if you're in agreement with what's said, simply say you're in agreement and don't have to reread it all. We'll understand. In the business session that follows, everyone may stay. Board members are invited to give last comments, and then only the committee will be speaking at the business session. However, anyone is welcome to stay. The first application is 817 Washington Street to establish a master plan for a hand-painted wall sign.
Okay, James, it's you have the floor.
Perfect. Pat, would you like me to put together the presentation?
Yes, Jim, that would be great.
Okay. Can you guys disable the screen sharing? Oh, here we go. Perfect. Okay, Pat.
Okay, good evening, and Chair and members of the committee. We're delighted to be before you this evening in connection with the proposal for a master plan for a hand-painted wall sign at 817 Washington Street, which is located, of course, in the Gansevoort Market Special District. Jim Price, the Director of Real Estate Development of the applicant, Silvercast Media, is joining us here this evening. Essentially, we're proposing to install a 184 square foot hand-painted wall sign on the wall of the premises showing to Gansevoort Street. Jim, if you could just advance the slide to the next one. As you see on these are the presentation deck that was previously submitted to the committee. We have identified here 817 Washington Street, the location of the premises. This slide shows some other painted wall signs that have already been approved in the Gansevoort Market Historic District. Jim, if you could advance the slide. In addition, in the Soho Cast Iron District, there are a number of similar painted wall signs that have all been approved by the Landmarks Commission. And as we'll set forth, our sign is consistent with a lot of these prior approvals. This slide shows some historic context of the premises at issue, the designation photos from 2003. The particular site at issue is at Block 644, Lot 30. We've provided both 1980s tax photos because it's really the tax photo for the adjoining lot, Lot 64, where you can also get the image of the wall space on which the sign is going to be produced. Go to the next one. As we indicated, this is going to be a hand-painted advertising sign. The company that is actually going to be doing the painting is ArtFX Murals, a long-standing hand-painting mural company dating back to 1984. We've given you just a couple of examples of the work of ArtFX Murals in the surrounding historic districts, both Soho Cast Iron and at the Gansevoort Market, the historic district. This is maybe a little hard to see on this presentation. This is just a copy of the plan that was prepared by our engineer, Tarek Zeed, also attesting, among other things, to the zoning compliance The particular sign that we're proposing is fully compliant with the manufacturing district sign regulations, specifically for surface area and height above curb. Jim, if you could go to the next page of the plans. This, I think, would be very helpful to the committee. If you look in the upper left-hand corner.
Can you blow it up, the upper left-hand one? Can you just enlarge it so we can see better?
Yes, hold on 1 second here. Let me see.
That's very helpful. Thank you.
Okay. So this, obviously, aspirationally, we have the Tiffany and Company rendering used. This is just an example of how we anticipate the sign to be placed on the wall of the premises. You will also note that on the adjoining property, which is 69 Gansevoort, at the staff's recommendation, we did this rendering with an approved rooftop installation on the adjoining property. That rooftop installation has not yet been built. It was approved by LPC back in April. So originally, when we were making our first filing with LPC, we provided two alternatives. One, if that rooftop installation was not built, just based on present conditions, if you were to go down the street today on Gansevoort, you would not see that rooftop installation. So we had presented an alternative with a larger sign if that rooftop installation was built. But after reviewing it with staff, we were advised to just present based on the assumption that the approved rooftop installation at 69 Gansevoort will indeed be built. So as a result, the sign that we're proposing is smaller, placed on the wall. And then the proposed master plan criteria are also.
While we're here, would you recite the dimensions of the sign and the amount that it is set back from the top and the
Certainly, Mr. Chairman. This is actually okay. So Jim advanced the slide to the next place, which is the proposed master plan criteria, but we can use this to summarize the conditions. The sign is going to be 15 feet 4 inches high by 12 inches wide. The total surface area of the proposed sign is 184.08 square feet. The total square feet of the visible wall area is 600 square feet. The sign is designed to have a distance of 2 feet from the front facade and a 1 foot distance from the parapet. The sign will be distinguished from the surrounding facade by either a black or a white 3-inch color border to contrast with the color of the sign. And then also based on our discussions with LPC staff, there will be no restrictions to the sign copy within the approved sign space. And it is our understanding that the criteria that we are proposing is consistent with prior approved master plans in terms of size, placement on the wall, and the consideration of the size of the sign relative to the amount of wall space that's visible to traffic on the street. So just procedurally, so that the committee is aware, in our discussions with the staff, we have been in there where it's penciled in for the December 6th LPC hearing.
Okay, thank you. You're finished.
Yes, no, that's that. In the interest of brevity, Mr. Chairman, I'll leave it at that.
No, that seems to be plenty. Is there any evidence that there was a sign in this location before?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, it does appear that there was some form of faded signage on the wall of the premises, and we do note that there are a lot of other walls in the same historic district that similarly had this type of old faded, or what we would refer to as ghost signage.
Right.
Dating back many decades.
It seems to be very ghost, but it's clearly there. From the committee, are there questions?
Yeah, Chanel, I'm just wondering I understand this is a master plan, and that was just a sort of a mock-up that you had up there, but it looked to me that it was, I think, did you say it was 2 feet from the corner? It doesn't look like that from here, but maybe it is.
It is proposed as to be 2 feet from the front facade and 1 foot down from the parapet. And I know on Mr. Zeed's plans, I think that's also indicated as well. And that's how we computed and actually, Jim, great. If we could just focus in on that, that's the proposed surface area showing it 2 feet in, 1 foot down, 184 square feet.
I mean, frankly, I am a fan of these signs, the painted ones on the brick. I think they're fine. I like them, but this one looks a little overpowering to me for the space. So you sure that's within the guidelines allowable?
It is consistent with other allowable guidelines where the LPC has approved 2 feet in from the front facade, and we had not only discussions with staff, but also discussions with counsel's office, who I've worked with on other matters in the past, and that's when we had our colloquy about this rooftop addition on the adjoining property and how we could right size the sign relative to that proposed installation. Because candidly, I'm Jim, who's on the call with us. Obviously would love to have a slightly larger sign than this. So we did shrink the sign in recognition of the fact that there is that rooftop addition, but again, kept it within the criteria that's been the subject of prior approvals by LPC.
Mm-hmm. And Chanel, do you recall, did we approve that rooftop addition, or maybe it didn't come to us? I don't remember it.
We did, yes.
We did?
Yeah. So this appears to be what was presented and approved.
Oh. Okay. All right, thank you.
I think Brandon had his hand raised first.
Yeah, I have a question. Thanks, Patrick. So the criteria is consistent with prior approved master plans. Now, is that for this specific district? I just mentioned this because, compare using the Soho historic district as a precedent. We're comparing two completely different districts because Soho was like a retail district. So, signage was very, very, there was so much signage, it's unbelievable. Now, so I was going to, mention that it might not be appropriate, but, it's weighed against the fact that there is a ghost sign there. So I just wanted to point that out.
Brendan, we always put in the any of these applications that the staff must verify that it conforms to any regulations for the building and the district.
Okay.
Brian.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate the presentation, and I also just want to add a little anecdote that when this was first, when R&L Restaurant Building was first presented to us about their rooftop addition, you might recall that it was a very obtrusive and in-your-face kind of addition that came close to the front of the building and so forth. So this, and appreciate Chenault's memory about approving this reduced roof addition on the R&L Restaurant Building, which is much more in keeping with the character of the neighborhood. So I don't have any objection to the sign and the master plan. I just wanted to note that the initial presentation of a rooftop addition would have, blown this up out of proportion. And so I feel like this is in keeping with what has been approved. Thank you.
To technically correct the rooftop addition part, this is in line with what we recommended, and the commission followed within the general idea of our recommendation. So we didn't actually see it until now.
Okay, thank you.
Anita.
Yes, I have a question. I do agree that in some of them they appear bigger than they maybe are. I don't know. But I do wonder as these signs come down closer to the ground, somehow it would be reasonable that they got smaller. These really big signs are meant to be viewed from far away, up high. And I think because Gansevoort is much lower, that we might want to consider adjusting the guidelines. I don't know. That's what I say. Because they do feel like the Tiffany one looks too big. It just looks too big.
Let me see if I can present. So the Sephora sign here that you see at 21 9th, this is a good picture. This is about the exact same size that we're proposing. And, our rendering makes it look bigger, but this, everybody knows the Sephora's painted sign. This would be about the exact same size that we're proposing.
But the measurement, the math is 30%. Maybe it's too much in a low-rise neighborhood. 30% can be signage on the face, only one face, right? You have a corner here. So it's that facade, 30%?
Correct, the secondary facade.
Always a secondary?
Correct.
All right. Well, I think we should put, my opinion is we should suggest that it be reduced in a low-rise neighborhood such as this. This is not Soho. Soho has taller buildings, bigger buildings.
Well, we're looking at one in this district, so let's keep confined the discussion to this district.
All right. I think it's too big. Thank you.
Okay. Are there others? I'd like to make one. Would you go back to the rendering that had the upper left-hand corner, the actual sign in question? Yeah, and again, could you increase it so we can see better?
Oh, hold on one second.
There, that's fine. Understand that it conforms to the regulation about the amount of space that the wall has. Some of that is obstructed by the addition, clearly. So I think this becomes to an aesthetic discussion, not a technical one. The point I would make is that on aesthetic, not a regulation method, it's simply a tiny bit too large. And my suggestion would be if the top were in line with the bottom of the front. Is that the parapet in the front, or?
Yes, the parapet.
Cornice, whatever that is that's black in the front. That if the top were there and it were proportionally reduced, it would take it a little bit from looking like it's trying to peep out from behind the addition and just make it generally more agreeable. And it would be a little farther from the window as well. I don't know if the window shows so much in the ground view. But just that simple adjustment might satisfy the.
Chenault?
Yeah.
In looking at the, I don't know what page this is, 7, there's a 12-foot dimension, there's a 2-foot dimension off the edge, 12-foot wide and 15.4 high. And you're suggesting to make it what dimension, just roughly?
I don't know. But
you're suggesting making it narrower and shorter?
I'm saying to shrink it so that it shrunk it, that the top falls below the cornice line.
Yeah, I think that would help a lot.
It's maybe a foot. Okay, we'll go into this in the executive session, but I think it's clear that there's general agreement that it's too large.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. Are there other comments?
No.
Okay.
No
anyone else? Any classification want to speak?
Nope.
Okay.
Are we doing Lafayette next? Chenault, are we doing Lafayette next?
Yes.
There's no public comment?
No? Oh, sorry. Someone just raised their hand. Thank you. Glenn Drews just raised their hand. And Glenn?
Apologies. I raised my hand for Lafayette. I just wanted to make sure I was not here. Apologies about that.
Okay, no problem. Oh yeah, Glenn. Yeah, actually, I'm about to promote you. Okay, hold
All
on.
right.
Oh yeah, so
You ready? Okay. 242 Lafayette Street. Application is to replace the second floor north windows, 2 on the front facade and 4 in the rear of the building, and to replace the previously approved work. Thank you for the addition. We see the applicant, so I'm talking to somebody.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah, thank you for the addition to the presentation. That's very helpful, those last 2 pages. And it's a rather technical things, and for other people, I should think, in the presentation. We're interested in anything historic that's known, the present condition, if it's historic or if it's some later addition, and how what you propose differs from from those 2 things.
Okay, so I'd be happy to take you through the presentation, but briefly, what currently exists, an original window, is a 91-inch wide window by 87 inches. It's a single double hung, and it's a single glazed window. So does not have insulated glass, doesn't conform to any sort of energy. So it's very hard to replicate that, if not impossible, in today's current window climate. So what we did on 3 previous projects that we had gone through LPC was to split those into 2 equal double hungs. This kind of simulates the original 2/2 look, and still allows it to, operate under the current energy code of the city. So that's what we had done previously, and we're looking to continue that same design. So if you could share the screen, I'd be happy to take you through it.
you have the permission to
I
present.
see it there. Very good. Okay. So right here, we have the 1940s tax photo. The building is right here, 242 Lafayette. I'm going to zoom in so you can see a little bit closer what those windows were. Two over two single double hung window. So, excuse me. So this is the current facade of the building. You can see down here is the windows that we are looking to replace. So these existing ones, these are aluminum replacements. Right above, you can see the original window from 1940s tax photo, which I'm going to get to as we move a little forward. The red circles here are the work that we've previously done. We're trying to bring some symmetry to the building. It's kind of a mishmash of windows currently. As you can see, if I zoom in a little bit over here, we don't even have double hungs here. It's a triple tilt and turn operation, something there. So we proposed the 2 next to each other, 2 equal double hungs, and we do have 3 of them in, and we're close to getting them all done there to bring that symmetry. And that's what we're looking to do. Here again are just a closer up of the work we've done right up here. These 2. This is the original window, which you'll see in the next slide. So you can see 90 by 87. That's one heck of a size of a window. It's really it cannot be made with insulated glass, which has to be done in the city, as you know. It's a different angle there. This is just showing the original profile. It's a square brick mold. It gives you about 5 inches of sight line on the left jamb, which we've replicated in our proposed installation and design. Again, just showing the head detail, which we have also replicated, and that's shown in the presentation in our drawings. These are the existing versus proposed. It's the existing detail. So as you can see, the head 4.5 inches, the sill 5 1/4, 2 5/8 at the meeting rail. We have 5 3/4 at the mullion to replicate that, the 5 inches at the jambs. Gets a little smaller at the meeting rail. So in 2 5/8 goes to 1 3/4. This is the floor plan of the building. So the windows on the main facade are, as you can see, openings 1 and 2, A0 at the bottom of the screen. That's facing east of the building. So that's right onto Lafayette Street. That's a paint sample, just a dark brown that we used for the previous approval. It's that common brown you see throughout the city, a lot of double hung windows and such. And that's a close-up of the product we are using, Series 100 double hung window. So that's it for the proposal. I'm happy to hear any questions you might have.
I have two questions.
Yeah. Yeah, go for it, Anita.
Yes. Hey, Glenn, we just talked on the phone today.
Yes, we did. Hi,
yeah. Hi.
Anita, sorry, just
coincidence.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I need to clarify some things for the record here. Are you saying that these are double glazed?
Yes, the existing are. It's not the original, the existing, and the proposed are as well.
Right. And the modifications are in principle only to accommodate the double glazing, where dimensions of the mullions or whatnot need to be different.
Yeah, adding that IGU, an insulated glass unit.
We have this over and over. Okay, Anita, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Two questions. First question is, so you're here presenting the permission to do additional windows that you've been approved for before?
It's not a master plan, so I think that's why.
Oh, that seems like there must be a simpler way. The second part is on page 10, and you know, I can't help it. I have to say something. The exterior view, the detail is existing on the left, but it's not drawn correctly because there's not a double mutton between those two windows on the original. That's the whole point.
Understood. Again, the existing condition that we showed there was the existing aluminum setup. These are job specific for this. I believe that there's something else I could share with the committee, another drawing that we have that shows the the window itself, the original wood window.
So you're legalizing these windows.
What's that?
I guess you're legalizing these already replaced windows?
No, they're not already replaced. From a previous project, we had the installation in there. So I'd be happy to share that.
No, I'm just trying to be clear because it's not it's existing, but it's not original.
Yeah, correct. The set that I'm showing here.
Okay, I missed that somehow. Thank you. That's good.
I think Bo had his hand up next.
I'm just wondering, are you fabricating these windows, or are you buying them off the shelf somewhere?
No, we fabricate these ourselves. We make our own windows, 2 factories over in Teterboro. So these are coming from us.
And the other thing is, to follow up on what Anita said, is this owned by one landlord? Are they co-ops? Is it a commercial building? I mean, is there?
It's owned by all 6 shareholders. So there's not much cohesiveness in terms of anyone who's running the operation. It's more been about when folks want to change windows, a new shareholder comes in, they do it on their own. So it's kind of why we're doing this repetitive stuff of, going through stuff that's already been approved, and not in a master plan setting, if you will. So that's kind of the situation at the building.
But there was no master plan for that building?
No, there was not. There's no one had opted to move forward with that. It was suggested by Skyline. It does, take a contractual obligation with Skyline to do that. A lot of efforts go involved to, getting a master plan put together. So it wasn't opted in to do that. That's why we have to keep going back for these one-off public hearings, which, yes, redundant, but unfortunately it is what it is.
Mm-hmm. And then one last thing, you did say that the expanse makes it impossible to do a double glazed panel. Is that what you said?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, I'm not aware of that because I've been involved with a lot of projects, and my experience is that you can get whatever you're willing to pay for.
You can't meet egress with a window that big. It wouldn't be able to be operated. There's nothing to support something of that weight with that insulated glass. It's a massive window. And 7 by 9 feet it's incredibly large.
And that's an egress point there?
I believe a fire escape's right outside of it. So I don't have a official saying that it is, but I'd imagine so that's an egress point. Yes.
Well, it's just because it's a fire escape doesn't mean that's the egress point.
Understood. But I'm going by what I have to do and what my understanding of it. So again, it's just to have that weight of that window is tremendous. So to have balances and operation of a single double hung, we had initially tried to do it when we did the first project. It's impossible to do from a fabrication standpoint for us. So
there's been a question, there's been an answer, so we'll move on.
Sure.
Are there other members of the committee who wish to have a question? Or anybody else at all?
I do. It's more of a comment than a question. I just want to clarify that windows in historic districts are exempt from the energy code, both New York State and New York City.
I believe they have to be a national landmark to be exempt, though. That's, again, my understanding of the window and landmarks.
That's interesting. Okay, I'll have to look into that.
This is very common.
I know that New York State, yeah, I'll have to check that out. That's interesting.
Yep.
Okay, are there other questions?
Yeah, Brian has his hand up.
Yes, thank you. Well, I certainly appreciate the effort to have something similar to a similar appearance to the original windows. Glenn, could you explain for us again what your role is, or how are you part of the
Sure.
manufacturer?
I'm the project manager for Skyline Windows, so I'm the liaison for all aspects of the project. I'll run the crews. I work with the client. I work with the factory for the manufacturing and make sure this is ushered through all the channels it needs to go through to properly be installed.
Very good. Thank you very much. That's all I had.
Okay, are there other questions?
No, that is all.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on.
Thank you very much.
So 46
application,
yeah, 46 Jane
is 46 Jane Street. The application is to restore the front stoop and facade ornament, replace the front railing, construct a one-story rooftop addition and elevator bulkhead, enlarge and replace the rear facade windows, remove fire escapes, and add a stair to the yard.
Hey, Chenault, 1 second. Logan?
Hi.
Hi. Did you have a question about one of the applications?
Nope, I'm the applicant for 46 Jane.
Oh, so you want to be promoted. Okay. And
yes, please.
Anyone else from your group?
Yeah.
Andrea
Knox.
Okay, I'll do that right now.
And Karen Stoneley.
1 second. Karen Stoneley. Okay. I'm sorry to interrupt, Chenault. You were saying?
Oh, but no, I want to get it right.
But I think everyone's in now. So the Chenault, the floor is yours.
Okay, you're in order. Okay, you may begin. Whoever's presenting first.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
My name is Mary Diericks. Presenting with me tonight is Logan Richmond. I'm getting out of full screen here. Andrea Knox and Karen Stoneley, also from Span Architecture, are here to answer questions. I think that probably somebody is sharing screen, or I just
That's me, Logan Richmond.
Okay, Logan, I just see a black screen.
Okay, let me see if I can fix that.
Are you coming back?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you guys see this?
Yes. Okay.
Why don't I go ahead and stay like this?
Thank you. Next. All right, the public hearing items for this project are the rooftop addition and the elevator bulkhead, and possibly chimney flue extensions and the door, window, and trim colors. The colors are probably fine under staff guidelines, but it was just a little bit unclear in that. But I want to describe the full exterior scope, which is to restore the front stoop and facade ornament, replace the front railing, remove the fire escape, construct a one-story, as I said, rooftop addition and elevator bulkhead, enlarge and replace rear facade windows, remove rear fire escape, and add a stair to the yard. As we go through these things, we'll remind you again what is public hearing and what is not. Next. This is the street in context. 46 Jane in Greenwich Village is part of a row of 5 Greek Revival style houses built in 1846. The row is from 42 to 50. Our building is the one without the stoop in the center that has the white doorway in the basement. Next. Here's the building in about 1940 and 1980. By 1940, the stoop had already been removed and a fire escape was added. Next. Here's the front facade, and you can see the marks on the brick showing where the original entrance was, and you can see the marks on the brick showing where the original parlor floor window openings were. Next. Here are some additional photos of the entrance. Next. Here's the rear facade. What you're looking at is the facade of the 3-story addition. You can't actually see the top from the yard. The top, which is in the main building, is on the top right. That's the top right photo. All of the houses in the row have rear additions of 2 and 3 stories. Next. This is the context. This is looking west and looking east. Next. The block and the surrounding area are very diverse, with 19th century row houses mixed in with tall apartment buildings, mainly from the first half of the 20th century. There are multiple 2- and 3-story rear additions on the row houses. That's most of them. And there are 3 1-story rooftop additions, plus several stair bulkheads. Next. Here's an aerial view showing the rooftop additions on the block. You can see number 46 there, kind of in the center, and in the area. It's a fair amount. It's additions and bulkheads. Next. To recreate the stoop railings and trim, all of which is being handled at a staff level, we looked at the other buildings in the row, and these are all the buildings in the row. Next. Here are the doorways, and it's going to look like them. Next. We're mainly looking next door at 48 for the doorway and the windows, and the ironwork, which is not original but is in the Greek Revival style. Next. Logan Richmond of Span Architecture is going to take you through the design.
Thank you, Mary. Hello, everyone. This is the existing and proposed front facade, and a reminder, the proposed front facade restoration will be handled at LPC staff level, as we are showing restoration of the stoop and areaway, including historic details such as the eared stoops around, akin to historic stoop entries of 44 and 48 Jane, new ironwork railing on the stoop and areaway, centered entry door with glass side lights and transom light. New parlor level windows will be lengthened down to the original height to match historic 6/9 configuration. New window lintels will be introduced to match historic, akin to 48 Jane. The fire escapes will be removed as it is no longer required for egress code compliance. Window sills will be resurfaced to match lintels. New painted 2nd and 3rd floor windows to match existing historic 6/6 double hung configuration. Historic cornice to be repaired and repainted. And for the rooftop, the existing stair bulkhead and mechanical equipment will be removed and a rooftop addition will be added. The vertical height of the rooftop addition will be 8'11", and the peak of the pitched roof on the rooftop addition will be 12'3", less than 1 foot higher than the existing stair bulkhead. Here are the proposed and existing areaway plans.
Could you go back to the previous one?
Sure.
What that you have shown us is being approved by us?
That would be the rooftop addition.
Okay. And you'll go into detail about that later. Okay.
Yes, I will.
So nothing on the facade we're concerned with.
We did not get a clear answer from Landmarks about the colors. We're going to, they often want white for these buildings, but.
Okay, can you just give us what is in question and we'll comment on it?
Sure.
Yes, we have the colors in the subsequent slide.
Okay.
Okay. So this is the proposed and existing areaway, and then I'll jump to answer your question. So here we are showing the proposed materiality of the front facade. Cementitious brownstone and the stoop steps, eared stoop surround, window lintels and sills, areaway curb, and basement level facade. And in regards to your commentary, we would have wood windows, wood cornice, and wood stoop entry paneling to be painted a historic era dark olive named drab per LPC table of 19th century exterior paint colors guide. And along with the other materiality, there will be black painted ironwork railing and black painted window guards. Here we're zooming into the railing detail, and the new railing at the stoop and areaway, as mentioned, will take on a Greek fret pattern in the Greek revival style, similar to 48 Jane, and the understoop gate will be painted black to match the railing. Here we're moving to the rear facade, and as a reminder, this will be handled at the LPC staff level, but the rooftop addition and elevator bulkhead will be handled at public hearing. So the first three levels, basement, parlor, and second floor of the existing rear facade is an extension, as mentioned earlier. The new basement level of the proposed rear elevation shows a new painted wood window system. The outer boundary of the window system has been pulled inboard to align with the upper windows in respect of the vertical masonry piers on both sides of the extension facade. The new parlor level window system is a continuation of the basement level windows with a painted wood spandrel panel separating them. There will be a painted metal stair from the parlor level down to the garden, akin to 48 Jane. The new second floor windows will have two pairs of 6/6 double hung windows aligned to the outer edge of the vertical masonry piers on either side, same as basement level and parlor. The fire escape will be removed as is no longer required. The third floor is a part of the original brick facade, as Mary mentioned, and the new window and door on the left and center will match the existing opening, and the east window on the right will be enlarged to match the historic opening. Up on the roof level, the existing rear facade remains at the same height, and the code required elevator bulkhead is shown on the right in front of the rooftop addition, which will be slightly shorter in height than the existing stair bulkhead. And the rooftop addition overall height is less than 1 foot taller than the existing stair bulkhead, as mentioned prior. The window and door system open up to a small roof terrace between the addition and existing rear facade parapet. Here's the existing building section. Here you can see the rear extension of the first three floors. The existing bulkhead and roof line are shown here. The roof line slopes down from rear facade to front facade, and you can see the existing basement entry down at the sidewalk level. Here's the proposed building section, and we've noted in a dashed line the existing roof line and bulkhead. The roof addition is set back more than 16 feet from the front facade and nearly 6 feet from the rear facade. We are proposing to level the roof structure approximately at the height of the front facade, which allows the floor level of the roof addition to sink about 3 feet below the existing rear facade, reducing visibility as much as possible. We also chose to pitch the roof of the addition to further reduce potential visibility of the street. The interior ceiling height has been minimized to reduce visibility as much as possible. The guardrail is set back 3'6" from the front facade to eliminate visibility from the street. And the elevator shaft is located tight to the south side of the stair, as we wanted to respect the historic interior floor structure and stair location, in hopes to tread lightly from a structural perspective, as we are keeping a majority of the existing floor joists and holding the existing location of the stair. The elevator bulkhead is set back 1 foot 1 inch from the rear facade. The cellar will be lowered 2 foot to increase the ceiling height from around 6 feet to around 8 feet. At the front, you see the new stoop and areaway entry, and at the rear, you see the new exterior metal stair. Here we're moving up to the roof level in 3 dimensions. These are the 2 rendered views of the rooftop addition looking from the front facade. The left image looking southwest, the right image looking southeast. I'll come back to a view from the front. And these are 2 rendered views from the rooftop addition and elevator bulkhead from the rear facade. The left image looking northwest, the right looking northeast. This represents the material palette of the rooftop addition. The walls of the addition are a residential beige colored painted stucco to blend with the surrounding roofscape and tall apartment buildings on the other side of the block. The pitched roof will be a zinc colored standing seam metal roof that is pulled from a utilitarian roof structure palette common in the neighborhood. The dark painted wood window door system is a traditional style Anderson A series set of double doors that are mirrored on both front and back of the rooftop addition. The guardrail will be glass and set back to eliminate visibility from the street, as mentioned before. And you can see the neighboring chimney flues being rerouted along the side of the rooftop addition per DOB code clearance requirements and to reduce visibility from the street. It isn't certain whether these chimneys will have to be extended, but we're showing them here on the 3D renderings. Now we're back in 2D to flip through the plans. The existing / demo plans are at the top of the page and the proposed plans are at the bottom. This is the cellar level plans. These are
flip through these until you get to the roof. Please.
Okay. So first floor, these are second floor plans, third, and then this is the rooftop addition and existing roof. And this is the existing, this is the proposed roof, pitched roof of the rooftop addition and elevator bulkhead. Now I'll hand the presentation back to Mary to discuss the rooftop mock-up and street views. Thank you.
So we mocked up the addition and the elevator bulkhead and the railing, and this is what you see here. Next. There are very few there are two points where you can this is minimally visible, and there are 2 points where you can see a little bit of this of the structures. You can't tell who they belong to. You can just kind of see them peeking up over the roofscape. So these are views where there's no visibility. Next. Actually, could you go back, Logan?
Sure.
What I did want to show you that this is on the right. That's from across the street, and you do actually now see the chimney flues of 46 and of the adjacent. They're just there and visible. Next.
This right-hand visibility on the third one, the one without trees, is all chimneys?
Existing, correct.
Okay.
These are existing.
This is existing, and that's existing on of 46 Jane. That's the one on the right.
No, that's
that thing above is like, I don't know, somebody's something or other from like a block away.
Yeah, that's the apartment building behind.
Next. More where you can't see it. Next. More where you can't see it. Next. These are the 2 spots in blue where you can see a little bit. They're both from around 8th Avenue. Clearly you can't see anything now. The trees in the village are absolutely amazing. It's like you don't get fall. They're still green and full, but we're going to do better. So next. So this is what we think with modeling. This is a montage of the visibility down. That's number 11 there, down past 8th Avenue on 12th Street, looking at the rear over the row houses on 8th Avenue, and that's what it's in the kind of the center to the right. That kind of thing on the far on the left. The thing on the far right is an addition at the corner. But we're looking. Ours is, if you could point, Logan.
Sure.
Ours is the one over there. Next. The other view is even further away because there's a park, and that's over the side. And we think you will be able to see the addition and the rerouted chimneys if we need to do that from here. At this moment, you can't see them, as you can see, and I have a feeling, because even when the trees lose their leaf, there are just so many of them that you'll probably never be able to see it, but that's what we think is the visibility. Next.
And just to note, this is a rooftop addition of 42 Jane. Our addition is only here.
Yeah.
This is the existing rooftop addition.
It's not ours, yeah.
On 42 Jane, which is here on the block.
And that's our presentation.
Thank you.
To sum up the visibility, it's basically the last slide and the one before it that you showed from 8th Avenue and from wherever the last one was from.
12th and J.
Is what's visible, right?
Yes.
Presumably with them. And the, what's it called? The guardrail, the glass is visible where?
It's
nowhere. Nowhere.
Okay, are there questions?
No one has their hand raised.
Yeah, sorry,
Brian, 3 for 3, buddy.
Wait, sorry, let me ask first. I just
okay.
Absolutely clear what is before us. What I have tried to pare it out. In the front, we'll comment on the paint colors.
Yes.
And
Correct.
that may or may not be, but whatever happens. And because this is our only chance to comment if something is not done by staff. And then on the rear, I'm lost as to what.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's only the rooftop addition and the elevator bulkhead on the roof. And if we need to reroute the chimneys, they will also be visible.
So they're doing all of this extensive rear facade of the building itself.
And it's within the staff level approval guidelines. You know, it's not really that extensive. It's replacing the window openings. It's enlarging the windows on the
right. Are you replacing them? It looked like the next to the. Could we go back to the rear facade?
Sure.
My question was the replacement. Normally we comment extensively on redoing windows when the openings are altered, which appears to be the case on the bottom 3 floors.
Yes, of the addition.
That is okay. We'll comment on that.
Sure.
In any case, and the upper one we see that it's just replacing, and indeed restoring the right-hand window to the proper size.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Brian.
Yeah.
Well, if we're back to the front facade, not so much the paint color, but another detail on the ironwork. I was just wondering if it's a very delightful sort of detailing on the balustrade and the other railing details, but I'm wondering if it meets the 4-inch opening, maximum opening for those railings. Is that totally code compliant, I'm wondering?
It is, yeah. We made sure the radius here was less than 4 inches and between these vertical members as well.
Oh, very good. Well, then thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from anyone?
No.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Yeah, I don't see any hands. Okay, so
I'm just rewinding.
Hey, Mustafa, I see one hand from the public.
Oh. Okay, yes, you are right. Terry Bloom. Hi, Terry.
Hi.
Speak.
Hey. Oh, Terry, we heard you there for a second. Do you want to just make sure you're...
Yeah, I'm not muted, but for some reason my mic isn't all that
We're
great.
fine now.
No, we got you. We got you.
Okay. So I live directly across the street from 46.
Okay.
And in the description, first of all, this meeting seems to have been posted yesterday, and no one else on Jane Street seems to be aware of it besides me. But I have a question about the use of the rooftop structure, since it's not windows but patio doors. What is the projected use of the roof? The intended use of the outside space?
I'm Mrs. Mary Dirks. I'm hoping I'm back in the meeting.
Yeah, we can hear you.
It's a home office. It's, after the pandemic, this is a young family who's moving in, and one of the people works from home, and this is going to be a home office.
Okay.
Oh, that still doesn't answer my question. With 4 patio doors open to the roof, what other use of that space is projected?
Karen, Logan?
If it's a patio, that's permitted.
There is a roof terrace on the front and the back of the rooftop addition.
Does that answer your question, Terry?
Not really. I mean, it could turn into parties, it could turn into anything, and the people across the street.
We can't regulate the use of anything here. We can regulate the landmarks aspect, and the use of the rooftop as a terrace is a permitted landmark aspect of the application.
Don't think that's going to make too many people happy.
Okay, do you have another question?
No, just to comment that from across the street, I mean, it doesn't blend.
We understand, and we understand the concern about the rooftop. Do you have anything else to ask?
Yeah, I'm just commenting that the structure itself on the roof doesn't blend at all
Thank you. I think I've explained clearly. I mean, you understand what I've explained, right?
You don't have to re-explain it.
Okay.
Thank you, Terry.
That's it.
Yeah, no, I think that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll go along. Are there any committee members here?
Yeah, we're all here.
No, I'm sorry, board members, not on the committee.
Oh.
This is their time to speak if they want to speak. Raise your hand if anybody other than the committee wants to speak.
Yeah, no one's raising their hands.
Fine. Okay. Washington.
No one knew about the meeting.
Washington Street.
Okay. I'm going to.
Okay, we'll now be with just the committee for the speaking for the.
Are we in executive?
Okay, yes. For Washington Street, was I clear about the about my suggestion of how to make it smaller and keep the. Mustafa, do you have the application that you can put up?
Yeah, I'm just shifting folks over from.
Oh, okay.
Oh wait, someone has their hand raised. Hold on. Someone has from the public, I think, has their hand raised. Do you want to let them talk?
Yeah. Why is this so difficult? Okay.
Hey, Barry, you're muted.
Barry Beneby.
You know who he is?
Okay.
Or she?
Go ahead, Barry.
I first have some questions
which should have been clear to me, but were not. First, what is the purpose of the addition to the roof?
She said the purpose was for a home office.
I also, they're not permitted to speak, so because I demoted all of them already.
Right. Okay. Bring Mary back.
I think so. So Barry, there's a couple of patios.
You can bring Mary back because this is part of the previous.
Sure. And while she addresses, I'll pull up the presentations. Mary, you there?
Yep. Hi, Barry.
Hi.
The question was answered before. So would you answer it again?
Pandemic. This is a young family moving in, and one of the people works from home, and this is for a home office.
So basically, it's an extension to the building. Is the building to be a one-family house?
Yes.
Right, so you're just enlarging your house and putting an office on the roof.
Yes.
And what reason do you why do you putting your office on the roof?
This is permitted. We're considering the landmarks aspect.
No, I understand.
By landmarks is permitted, and that's all we're allowed to consider in this meeting. Actually, what goes on inside
the house is not large enough to accommodate an office without building an extension on the roof.
That is simply not a concern of this meeting.
I think
I don't know how to explain it otherwise.
Point something out, unless
it conforms to the regulations that we're considering, and
the size appears to be excessive for that purpose. I'm wondering whether it can be reduced.
The purpose is not something we're considering. It is a size that appears to be permitted.
Yes, I'm just wondering whether the owner would consider reducing it to make it more compatible with the neighborhood.
Okay, we can consider that in our deliberations.
I do want to say that it's about as short as it can be.
The scale seems to be quite excessive for the scale of the building. It's a very large addition.
The floor to ceiling height is like 8'9". It's not very tall.
Okay, I don't think we're going to solve this by continuing. Do you have another question?
Do you have another question?
No, I don't. And I thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
It's possible.
Thank you, Barry.
Okay. Now, are we sure that everybody's been satisfied in the public?
No, I don't know.
Okay. We're now beginning the meeting, so it's too late.
Yeah, okay.
Principle. Washington Street. If you could put up the Tiffany sign, I will explain my proposal for reducing it.
Come on. Okay, so there we go.
It was.
Can you guys see my screen?
No, more that later. There. And can you enlarge the two pictures or renderings? Okay, they both show, the one on the right shows more clearly that the parapet is what the parapet is, but the cornice is lower than the parapet, obviously. It's a rather thick cornice. And my proposal was simply to shrink it so that its position is the same and the top edge is in line with the bottom of the cornice. The front cornice in black.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I think everybody's in favor of kind of reducing the size of this thing.
I think the width is too big too. It looks like it's slamming into that little restaurant.
Right. Well, that's what I mean by shrinking is to shrink the size of it, not to move it anywhere.
Yeah, no, but I mean, it's more useful to put it in dimensions. If you look
Right.
at the
If
other
you can estimate
drawing,
what that is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, look, this
well,
the
let's
scaling.
look at.
Yeah, the scaling of this
Look at-
is all like the 2 foot is the exact same width dimension as the 1 foot. You know, so it's a,
Show the
scaling's a little
drawing,
screwy.
please, Mustafa, if you can, the drawing.
Yep.
Because I think it's not, you can say reduce it all over, but it's better to say make it, drop it down to align with the cornice of the building it's painted on, and then raise it up, and the 12 feet is too big. Make it 10. Or, I would do something like that, 10 by 12, or it'd
I
be
would
still
estimate
rectangular.
it would be about a foot on each side, more or less.
Yeah, I would just throw out a number because otherwise it's a little too vague. But isn't there some place we could put on this application that the ratio 30% seems to overwhelm these little streets, these little buildings?
Yeah.
I believe
I think
where
it's
this comes from is that obviously that extension on the building next door doesn't touch the building. Therefore, they're computing it from
that's not what they're showing.
The original roof of the Ferrant building.
But they're showing 600 square feet right here, wall area. And they shaded it even.
They do
That's
that.
too much. 30% is a lot, no matter what. I mean, if you have a big facade, can you imagine?
All we can do is make an aesthetic argument about it in the situation where it is.
It's too big.
Because the regulations are what they are. But we always can say that a sign that conforms strictly to the regulations is too large.
Well, I like your suggestion. I say yes.
Okay. Is there agreement on that? Does anybody have anything else to say?
No, yeah, no, I agree, but I think we should say, I mean, it looks to be 15.4 by 12, so we should say something like 13 by 10. I mean, we should come up with a number because otherwise it's just not clear.
Yeah, that's what Anita said.
Okay.
So I mean, what's the number though? What's the number?
Well, the cornice is probably, I don't know. It should come down a foot or two, and it should probably go up a foot. So
Right.
that's 3. So that I would make it 12 by 10, round numbers.
That's good.
Or-
I'm good with
Or
that.
9 by 12, because
What
it
do you
really,
say? Just come up with a figure.
I say 9 by 12 because it's very tight on this adjacent building. When you're
So
looking
12 high
at
and
it,
9 wide.
the actual view from the street, it looks like Tiffany is bouncing off of the new addition.
Right.
Yeah, it's too low. It's clearly too low. So no, I think,
And too wide.
yeah, I
Okay,
agree.
we understand that. We want to come up with a number. Are we
Yeah.
saying 12 feet high and 9 feet wide is what we want to agree to?
I say yes. So
Okay.
Yes.
Does anyone disagree with that dimension as a suggestion?
Yes, I think 10 by 13 is plenty small.
Mm. 10 by 13 is closer to the idea that it is, certainly. Well,
I'm happy
everybody
to go along with the majority, whatever that is.
is 10 by 13 agreeable? I
Works
don't
for
agree
me.
with disagreement.
Works for
Okay,
me.
10 by 13 it is. And we'll explain, and then centered in the space that it occupies now, which gets it away from the walls more, which is desirable.
Hmm. Yes.
Okay. Are there any other comments on it? I don't think there's anything else to say. That's all there is to the application. Okay, and we'll have the whole thing about conforming to the regulations for the
Right.
that has to conform to all the regulations, and within that, to reduce the size as an aesthetic consideration. Lafayette Street. The proposal is to match previously done ones.
I think it's fine. I understand the issue. It's very unusual to have a 9-foot wide window. That is pretty big. But I mean, this is also something that's doable for the average, co-op owner. These are still just people trying to fix up their windows. So,
and getting them more and more matching as it moves along.
Yeah, it's a reasonable solution, I think.
Okay.
I think it's fine.
They did, originally, there was no example of what they were going to do when we saw that, so that satisfies it. Jane Street.
I just want to make one note. I just want to follow up on the comment I made before during the presentation. I just looked up the statutes, and New York City landmarks are exempt from energy codes. However, the presenter was correct about New York State. So I'm not sure which trumps. So New York, just for our reference.
I can add to that, Brendan, because I think in my experience, it has to do with you can use old windows. I mean, if you're going to restore historic windows, they're single pane and they're exempt from the energy code. Right. I think anybody who's putting in a window today, new window, will do a thermal pane because they're too freaking cold and weak too. I mean, thermal pane makes them much stronger too. So I think it's really, that's how I understood the code, was that it was directly related to restoring historic or replicating historic windows.
And I
understand. I guess it's a question of someone
represented that it was not possible to do the double glazed windows of that size and be.
Well, it's also just too heavy. It's heavy. It's not practical.
Okay.
It would be ridiculously expensive if you could do it, and that's not really that useful to us.
And there are plenty of examples. Well, there are examples in the building of having already replaced with something else.
Exactly.
Jane Street, the front facade, I finally pinned them down that it's the paint
of the door and the windows.
Of the door, the windows, and the railings.
Well, the building right next to it has black windows, so I don't think it's a revolutionary choice.
What we normally do when this is the case, it seems extreme, but we don't have the landmarks here to say otherwise, that we comment on anything that we would not approve if we were talking about it. So is there anything, if we go to the front, is there a front rendering that's clear?
Trying to find
front facade rendering.
Here, let's go back.
Which was early on.
You want the rendering or a photo is okay?
A rendering.
No, we need to propose.
Gotcha.
On 13, Mustafa. Or 14, sorry.
Oh, weird. I guess.
Wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, 14.
I know it's different.
Oh, maybe there's not one.
Oh, maybe it vanished.
Yeah, there.
No.
So okay, if we look at the rendering on the right.
Well, there's no color here.
Considering colors, is there anything?
Yeah, there is, but
we have to imagine it.
The one on the website might be a little different because it's on 14 on the website. On our website.
Yes, that's right. There's a rendering on the page 14.
Yeah.
A good
which
one.
Seems
Black
that
windows
16
and a blue door.
Mary says 16, Mustafa.
They may
I mean-
not have drawn it. They may not have it on the,
If
they
it's
could have
not
done
there,
that
just go
later.
to the
This
rendering.
I didn't make this. I didn't create this PDF. This PDF was sent to us in the email
Okay,
string.
just go to the rendering of the.
All right, let's see here. Okay.
We can't discuss what we don't see.
On the website, it's linked to one that has a full face, but it's not that complicated. It's a,
Okay. Is
a
there
black
any
instead of
objection? The
white.
question is there any objection to anything on the front facade?
Not for me.
No,
Okay.
me neither.
And the colors were well explained and certainly conform to something normal.
Well, number 44, which probably has replaced the windows on page 11, shows black window frames. So it's not the only one. I mean, remember, this is a row, a very nice row of 5 houses all matching. And it's very nice that they're putting the stoop back, by the way. We should have told them that, but that is a great thing, especially looking at the patchwork in which it was done. But the building next to it has black windows, so we can go with that.
Okay, there's no dispute about it. Can we go to the rear facade? Oops.
For the windows below?
Just if we want to comment on what she said was. No, it's back. It's got to be the drawing.
It's on page 18 on my set.
Yeah.
Page 18.
Oh, there was the front facade.
Yeah. 19. Yeah, 8. Here we go.
Okay, that's settled. Now in this one, my question was: do we want to make an issue of the next to the top floor, where there are 3 intact, though filled-in windows that march along very nicely as the only example of the original window configuration?
But isn't that the original facade? The other 3 floors are pulled forward, or am I wrong?
Oh, no, I'm just historically it was three windows.
I know, but I'm saying the rear facade is no longer the old facade. That's all I'm pointing
Right, but the top floor is. So,
and it's left that way, though, right? It's left with 3 windows.
But the point is that we want to ask for 3 windows marching across in the normal way.
Below that.
Floor above the parlor floor.
I don't. I think we've, people want more light. I think
does this help? Does this
Does
answer the
anybody else
question?
want to make an issue of it?
So
I don't. It's also the rear facade, so I don't see that much of a point.
Well, we do that anyway, Zachary.
Okay. Is there any objection to the new rear facade then? Okay, there's none. Let's move to the roof. We saw the visibility and as much as could be discerned from the 2 studies or renderings or whatever they're called. It's toward the end of it.
I think it looks nice. I mean, we've seen a lot of different things. I don't like the glass railing because I think those are much more obvious than people think.
I think we have systematically asked that they be metal instead.
Yeah, I don't care for it. I think it adds this glitter, this reflection, and becomes more noticeable than just, something we see every day, which is a railing. But
Though
regarding...
not visible, we can't be sure.
It reflects light. It catches the light and becomes like a mirror.
Right.
You don't know what's flashing you in the woods.
Anybody object to it being a metal railing recommended?
Well, I'm not objecting to that recommendation, but in this case, as much as I dislike the glass railings, when it's visible, this is totally invisible from all indications.
Maybe.
Well, We could still, I know, that because you can't see it, supposedly, maybe you can.
From the
I
public.
think,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, I mean,
It's
I would
consistent
still,
with what we normally ask for.
it just doesn't, it looks very weird, you know. It
It
doesn't
does,
really
and
belong
it's
on a
not
historic
it's
house.
a very traditional with big windows top rather than a glass box.
Yeah,
No, okay.
but I don't mind, but the addition itself, I think is fine.
Yep.
I think it's very modest.
Right.
It's reasonable. It looks nice. It's not
Okay, all we're
overwhelming.
asking for is correct a metal railing instead of a glass one. It
Yeah,
keeps us consistent, if nothing more.
Yeah, I don't like the glass railing either. I think we should just, I would remove the glass and that's it. Otherwise, it's fine.
Okay, then that's all of this one.
All right. Anything else?
Two things I want to bring up. There was circulated, I don't know how extensively, 14 Gay Street, which came to us a few months ago for a gate, and we refused to rule on it because there was this whole vague thing about what was going to be done to the facade, so we didn't know what it was going to be upon, and it was not suitable to the delicate railing that was there. The building has been condemned and approved for demolition, the front facade.
Oh, yeah, it's bad.
Because
it's really
they
bad.
excavated without a permit, and it undermined the walls under the excavation.
Oof.
So that's being sorted out, and a lot of emails are going back and forth, and we don't really have a clear picture of what the resolution is going to be.
That's the one that had the sign "Room for Rent."
Across the street.
Oh, it's not that building the same?
No,
No,
I
it's the
thought-
same one.
No, there were two. There were two on the street the same day. This is part of that
okay.
cluster that goes into Christopher Street. They're all interconnected, and there's one furnace apparently for the lot.
Wow.
They belonged, I believe, to the lady of the famous Pink House.
Oh, the Pink House lady. Okay.
What's number 2?
They've been a mess for years and are always having violations for.
Oh, Brandon, you don't need to raise your hand, Brandon. You can
Okay.
just talk.
Is that gonna, Chanel, is that something that's gonna come before us, that demolition?
What?
Or-
I didn't hear.
Is that something that's gonna come before this committee?
No, it's just I'm just saying it so people know what's going on.
Okay,
It's the facade, Brendan, not the whole building.
yeah, I mean, they should catalog it and put it
And
back.
there's question about the building being undermined. So we just don't know any more than what I've said.
Yeah, they can rebuild a facade wall. I mean, I don't know. It probably can't be salvaged if it's collapsed.
I looked at the permit, and it had all sorts of things to do with repairing and salvaging. All this was before the buildings department part.
Got it. That gets tricky because, I mean, I've done that work before.
The other item
disassembling.
is Albert's not here tonight. He's been 25 years on the board, on the committee, has always refused the board over the 25 years. I think it would be nice to do something, and I thought to ask Susan to work with Janine and figure out what to do without public in-person meetings. It's hard to figure out what that should be, but I'll just ask.
This year is 25 years. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
This year is 25 years.
Wow.
This
We'll all
month,
go to his house.
this month.
He has
Go
a
to
nice
Tiffany's
garden.
is
he
my
says.
suggestion, but we'll see. So that's it. No second meeting. We're very unpopular this month, and it may stack up in December. Watch out for the December schedule because it will probably be a week early because we try to avoid Christmas week, which is the week that the the board would meet so that all that gets backed up and rearranged. So thank you all.
Thanks, Chanel.
Nice to see you all.
See y'all later.
Good night.
Thanks,
Good
everyone.
night.